Elite Recon and Strike Units, ARC Troopers, Advanced Recon Commandos, are the Grand Army of the Republic's premier shock recon operators, selected from the ranks of proven clones and trained to act with far more independence than standard line infantry. ARC is both a qualification and a role. In canon, the designation is earned through distinguished service and advanced training. In Legends, Kaminoans also engineered dedicated ARC lines, the Null-class and Alpha-class, using fewer behavioral restraints so they could handle missions too delicate for regular units. This independence matters operationally. ARC detachments are tasked with deep reconnaissance, high-risk target raids, and ad hoc leadership when command structures break under fire. Their equipment underscores that latitude. ARC armor keeps Phase 1/Phase 2 protection, but layers on components that support small unit autonomy. Pauldron and chest rig configurations allowing flexible load carriage. A calmer, armored waist cape to protect the upper legs when kneeling into cover. Helmet packages with enhanced optics and communications for target acquisition and long-range coordination. ARCs typically carry versatile long guns for mid-range work and sidearms for close quarters, with demolition charges and breaching tools to create their own points of entry. The net effect is a soldier who can move from scouting and battle damage assessment to spearheading a breach, then stabilize a local fight by acting as a temporary platoon leader until regular formations catch up. Because ARCs are empowered to deviate from a plan when the situation demands it, Jedi generals often use them as problem solvers at the operational seams, places where a textbook solution doesn't exist, and someone has to make a call under pressure. Clone Commandos sit beside ARCs at the very top of the Republic's special operations spectrum, but their design philosophy is different. Commandos are built around 4 trooper teams that train, deploy, and fight as a single system, whereas an ARC can be plugged into a battalion to stiffen it or to act solo on a reconnaissance push. A commando squad is a complete micro-unit. Assault, breaching, demolitions, signals, and precision fire all in one. Each operator cross-trains, but squads deliberately cultivate specialties so the team can cover the full mission set. One trooper might focus on precision marksmanship for counter-sniper or sentry suppression tasks, another on demolitions to defeat doors, shields, or armored nodes, another on slicing and field electronics to penetrate security, another on tactical medicine to keep the team in the fight when there's no medevac. Their armor is heavier and more survivable than standard issue, with integrated sensor isolation, noise reduction, and environmental sealing, because they spend long windows behind enemy lines where resupply and recovery aren't guaranteed. The missions reflect that design. Covert infiltrations to sabotage foundries, quiet capture of a command node to blind a droid wing, ship-to-ship boarding against hardened corridors, or assassination of a battlefield integrator when a conventional assault would cost too many lives. Commandos also rely on a dedicated clone advisor who maintains secure comms, translates shifting strategic intent into step-by-step guidance, and acts as the squad's link to supporting assets without exposing the team on open channels. In exchange for that investment, the Republic gets high payoff actions. One squad can alter a campaign by degrading a key system at the critical hour, at the cost of accepting high-risk tasking and the reality that these teams will sometimes operate without reinforcement or extraction windows. ARF Troopers, Advanced Recon Force, are specialized scouts built for mobility, stealth, and early warning in contested terrain. If ARCs are free-thinking problem solvers and Commandos are self-contained raiders, ARFs are the Army's forward eyes and ears. Their training focuses on fieldcraft, navigation without beacons, camouflage and light discipline, observation and reporting, and survival skills to remain hidden near enemy avenues of approach for extended periods. The armor reflects that emphasis. Lighter than a line trooper's to reduce fatigue and noise, with helmet packages tuned for long-range optics and terrain scanning, and with load bearing set up for water, rations, and remote sensors rather than heavy breaching kits. Many ARFs are also qualified as ATRT riders, all-terrain recon transport. pairing a fast, agile walker with a trooper who can scout ahead of armored columns, screen a flank, or chase down probing units before they report back. In practice, ARF teams operate in pairs or small elements, slipping beyond the forward line to locate obstacles, minefields, ambush positions, or gaps a brigade can exploit. When contact happens, their doctrine is to survive and inform, break line of sight, transmit precise grid and composition, then guide heavier elements onto target rather than trying to win a fight they aren't equipped to finish. That economy of force reduces casualties in the main body by preventing surprises, and it allows Jedi commanders to pivot entire operations based on reliable, near real-time reconnaissance instead of stale map assumptions. BARC Troopers, Biker Advanced Recon Commandos, are a mobility extension of reconnaissance and rapid strike doctrine, trained to fight from high-speed BARC speeders across complex terrain where tracked vehicles are too loud or slow. The core idea is straightforward. A speeder-born trooper can outrun a withdrawing enemy patrol, cut behind a column to interdict its supply vehicle, or thread through urban choke points to reach a sensor node before it's scuttled. Because closing speeds are high, their helmets are modified to focus forward attention and reduce peripheral distraction, and their handling training is as rigorous as their marksmanship. Piloting and fire control have to be one smooth task. Tactically, BARC elements can screen a division's march route, run route clearance ahead of a convoy, or provide economy of force response to sudden probes without committing armor. In ambush roles, two ship elements can slingshot around defiles to catch enemy scouts in a pincer while an ARF team guides from overwatch. The trade-off is vulnerability. At speed, a speeder rider is exposed to small arms fire and shrapnel, so BARC troopers plan around cover, speed, and angles rather than armor. Their value increases in terrain like forests, deserts with broken dunes, and built-up districts where a walker's profile is too large and a gunship's presence is too conspicuous for sustained reconnaissance. Airborne, paratrooper clones are trained for vertical envelopment, dropping directly into contested zones to seize key ground that ground convoys cannot reach in time. Their Phase 2 era beehive helmet and Karma combination is more than aesthetics. The helmet's shrouded profile reduces snag hazards when descending through lines and debris, and the Karma protects the thighs and gear when landing into rubble. Airborne units insert from low-altitude gunship drops, rappels, or jump platforms onto rooftops, ridgelines, and airfield aprons, where holding even a small patch of ground changes the geometry of a battle. Because they arrive light, airborne doctrine teaches fast consolidation, establish 360-degree security, mark a landing zone for reinforcement, and neutralize anti-air threats to open a corridor for heavier assets. Sniper-qualified paratroopers extend that effect by denying enemy movement routes and picking off command elements as ground forces close. The risk profile is high. Paratroopers can be isolated if follow-on waves are delayed, but the payoff is decisive control of terrain that would otherwise take hours or days to reach with armor. Siege and heavy assault units. Clone heavy gunners represent the Grand Army's answer to battlefield situations where droid numbers or armor density threaten to overwhelm standard blaster rifle firepower. Their role is to anchor an infantry formation with suppressive volume, using repeating blasters and portable heavy cannons to break enemy momentum. In practice, a heavy gunner establishes a base of fire. One team lays down sustained bolts to fix enemy units in cover, while maneuver elements flank or reposition. Because heat buildup and ammunition drain are severe, heavy gunners train in disciplined burst control and barrel changes, with dedicated support troopers carrying power packs or coolant. Their armor is reinforced at the chest and forearms to absorb recoil vibration and fragment spool, and their helmets include heat filters to protect against extended firing. On worlds like Geonosis and Umbara, heavy gunners proved essential for holding narrow choke points against swarming droid infantry, their fire saturating lanes until relief forces could counterattack. Tactically, they are vulnerable if isolated. Mobility suffers under weapon weight, so doctrine places them in pairs or integrated into squads with lighter riflemen to cover their blind spots. The psychological effect of a heavy repeater's roar, combined with the glowing traces of blaster fire saturating a zone, contributes as much to battlefield control as the kinetic damage itself. Flame troopers are a specialized variant designed for close quarters clearing operations where conventional blasters cannot reliably neutralize entrenched enemies. Their signature weapon, the flamethrower, projects pressurized and ignited plasma fuel that arcs into bunkers, tunnels, and vegetation, flushing defenders or destroying cover outright. On battlefields like Fallujah, where organic growth could hide droids or insurgents, flame troopers were deployed to carve safe lanes for advancing companies. Their armor is insulated against backwash and incorporates rebreather seals to allow operations in smoke-filled or oxygen-starved environments. The tanks strapped to their backs contain gel fuel stabilized for transport but volatile under ignition, making them both vital assets and the priority targets. Tactically, flame troopers advance under escort. Standard riflemen provide suppressive fire while the flamethrower operator closes to effective range, often within a few dozen meters. Once ignited, the effect is immediate. No barricade, nest, or organic camouflage can resist, forcing an enemy to relocate or be incinerated. Their use is inherently brutal, but from a military engineering standpoint, flamethrowers remain one of the few tools capable of denying fortified choke points without artillery. The Republic employed them sparingly due to their destructive collateral effects, but in siege environments or dense jungles, flame troopers altered tactical calculus in minutes. Jet troopers, sometimes referred to as jump troopers, are clones trained and equipped for vertical maneuver warfare using jetpacks integrated into their combat rigs. Their doctrine fills the gap between infantry and aerial gunships, enabling shock assault directly over obstacles or into elevated terrain. Jetpacks allow troopers to bypass trenches, walls, and cliff lines, landing behind enemy positions to create chaos and force reorientation. Their armor is modified for balance and heat shielding, with thruster housings secured to the backplate and exhaust baffles angled to avoid igniting squad mates during clustered launches. Helmets integrate heads-up displays for trajectory correction and target acquisition while in motion, critical because firing accurately while airborne is a core skill. Jet troopers are often armed with carbines, shorter and lighter than standard rifles, to maintain control in flight and upon landing, plus thermal detonators to capitalize on shock entry. On campaigns such as the defense of Coruscant's upper city sectors, jet troopers were instrumental in countering droid swarms that had seized rooftops and elevated gun positions. They could launch vertically, neutralize nests, and withdraw before reinforcements arrived. Limitations include limited fuel and the risk of becoming targets for anti-aircraft systems, so doctrine dictates quick strike usage, lift, hit, and clear before systems lock. In coordinated operations, they insert alongside gunship fire support, synchronizing vertical assaults with lateral pushes, overwhelming enemies from multiple axes at once. Environmental and terrain-specific units. Cold assault troopers, often nicknamed snow clones in the field, are adapted for survival and combat in extreme sub-zero climates where standard armor and kit would fail. Their assignments include frozen battlefronts, Arctic sieges, and operations on worlds where perpetual ice and storms render vehicles unreliable. The primary change lies in their armor systems. Heavier thermal insulation layers are integrated beneath the plastoid plates, and the undersuit is heated to prevent frostbite and maintain mobility during long exposures. Their helmets contain enhanced environmental filters to prevent visor fogging and to balance pressure when winds reach hurricane speeds. Back-mounted power units regulate warmth and feed into weapon assemblies to keep blaster components from freezing solid. They carry the same DC-15 rifles as line troops, but fitted with cold-adapted capacitors that discharge reliably in temperatures that would jam standard issue. Cold assault troopers often fight in paired formations with engineers, laying thermal charges to fracture ice fields or collapse frozen ridges to hinder droid advancement. On campaigns against the Separatists and Outer Systems, these troopers proved capable of sustaining week-long holds in whiteout conditions, demonstrating that climate adaptation was as decisive as firepower. Scout troopers are specialized reconnaissance units deployed in both the Republic and later Imperial eras, trained for long-range patrols, rapid pursuit, and precision target acquisition. They are distinguished by their lighter armor, which reduces weight and maximizes speed, and by their helmet optics packages configured for scanning and long-range observation rather than heavy protection. Scout units are typically mounted on 74Z speeder bikes during field deployment, enabling them to cover vast terrain quickly, interdict fleeing enemies, or carry urgent battlefield data across disrupted communication grids. They train extensively in navigation and terrain reading, giving them the ability to maneuver in forests, deserts, and urban sprawls where heavier vehicles cannot follow. Scouts function as both skirmishers and intelligence gatherers. They mark enemy positions for artillery, guide main forces around hazards, and engage in precision elimination of targets too dangerous to leave unchecked. Their doctrine emphasizes survival and evasion. If a scout can transmit enemy grid coordinates back to command before being destroyed, the mission is counted as a success. The Republic relied on them to feed Jedi generals a constant stream of forward situational awareness, which allowed entire armies to adjust course before walking into ambushes. Their vulnerability lies in their light armor, which sacrifices protection for speed, making mobility discipline and stealth essential for survival. Scuba troopers represent the Republic's aquatic warfare branch, designed for campaigns on oceanic planets or submerged environments where standard kit would be useless. Their armor is sealed for waterproofing, reinforced with pressurization to allow safe descent into mid-depth combat zones. Each suit includes an external breathing apparatus connected to tanks mounted along the spine, coupled with helmet filtration that scrubs carbon dioxide and recycles oxygen efficiently for prolonged underwater operations. Jet fins integrated into boots and propulsion packs provide mobility through water, countering the natural drag that would otherwise render a trooper immobile in armor. Weapons are modified as well. Blasters use waterproofed ignition chambers and gas cartridges designed to discharge effectively without shorting circuits. Scuba units are trained in 3 primary tasks: securing submerged installations, neutralizing minefields, and launching amphibious assaults onto coastal positions. They can also sabotage enemy supply lines by attacking submerged transports and rerouting convoys. In Republic campaigns on aquatic worlds like Mon Cala, scuba troopers established beachheads by clearing droid subsurface ambushes and ensuring gunships could deploy reinforcements without being destroyed from below. As with all environmental units, their effectiveness came from tailored gear and training, proving that no terrain in the galaxy could guarantee safety from the Grand Army of the Republic. Command and Leadership Specialist. Clone officers form the backbone of the Republic's battlefield command structure, bridging the gap between Jedi generals and the vast legions of line troopers under their command. Unlike standard clones, officers are selected through merit and assessed for decision-making skills, tactical adaptability, and the ability to maintain unit cohesion under pressure. Their armor retains the protective plastoid plates of infantry, but carries colored markings denoting their rank, usually on the chest, shoulders, or helmet. Many officers wear pauldrons and command pauldrons for visual identification in combat zones, allowing subordinates to recognize leadership even in the chaos of blaster fire. Officers are trained to issue battlefield orders, manage formations, coordinate artillery and air support, and maintain discipline during prolonged campaigns. Their responsibilities extend beyond combat, including logistics oversight and the management of troop rotations, ensuring that soldiers remain combat effective in long campaigns. Clone officers embody the organizational backbone of the Grand Army, transforming masses of genetically identical soldiers into coherent fighting forces that could maneuver across entire planetary theaters. Clone commanders represent the highest echelon of non-Jedi leadership within the Grand Army of the Republic. These individuals are clones whose tactical brilliance, combat skill, and leadership ability distinguish them above all others. Each Jedi General is paired with a designated commander, creating a command team that blends Force-guided strategy with clone-born pragmatism. Famous examples include Commander Cody under Obi-Wan Kenobi, Commander Rex under Anakin Skywalker, and Commander Gree under Luminara Unduli. Commanders receive enhanced training, often at Kamino, covering advanced battlefield tactics, large-scale unit maneuver, and coordination of combined arms warfare. Their armor frequently carries individualized markings and additional gear such as rangefinders or specialized communications units, symbolizing their dual role as both warriors and field leaders. Commanders hold authority to alter battle plans if conditions change, and Jedi frequently trusted them with autonomy to achieve objectives without oversight. This independence demonstrates the paradox of their design. Engineered for loyalty, yet capable of independent thought, many commanders developed strong bonds with their generals. That loyalty was ultimately betrayed by the activation of Order 66, which forced commanders to turn their precision and organizational mastery against the Jedi they had once protected. Clone advisors, though less visible in frontline combat, play an equally critical role in ensuring the efficiency of special operations units. Advisors are assigned to squads like the Republic Commandos, providing them with real-time mission guidance, intelligence updates, and strategic coordination from secured command posts. These clones undergo specialized training in communications, intelligence analysis, and command doctrine, making them uniquely suited to translate broad strategic intent into actionable, step-by-step orders tailored to the squad in the field. Their gear includes advanced communications arrays and encryption systems that allow them to maintain contact even under heavy electronic interference. Advisors rarely fight directly, but their presence ensures that small teams can integrate into larger campaigns without losing the protection and coordination of the Republic's broader military machine. For commandos, an advisor functions as lifeline and strategist, helping them survive extended operations behind enemy lines by supplying reconnaissance, resupply routes, and reinforcement timing. Advisors illustrate the Republic's recognition that even the most elite squads function best with a guiding hand, blending tactical independence with centralized strategic control. Unique and experimental units. Null-class ARC Troopers were among the earliest attempts to create advanced recon commandos from Jango Fett's genetic template, but their development diverged sharply from the standard clone model. The Kaminoans reduced behavioral inhibitors to allow greater autonomy, but the results produced clones who were dangerously independent, difficult to control, and resistant to command hierarchy. Each Null displayed extreme intelligence, creativity, and adaptability, often to the point of insubordination. In the Republic's eyes, they were unstable assets, and in Legends material, they were nearly terminated before being salvaged by Mandalorian training. Their equipment reflected their role as experimental prototypes, highly customized armor adapted to individual preferences, advanced comms gear, and weaponry tailored to the operator's specialty. On the battlefield, Null ARCs acted as one-man strike teams, capable of sabotage, intelligence gathering, and assassination missions beyond the reach of standard clones. Their rarity and unpredictability made them both valuable and feared, illustrating how far genetic manipulation could push a soldier away from standardization. Shock Troopers served as the Republic's military police and heavy enforcers, specializing in urban security, riot control, and high-value target defense. They were distinguished by their red-marked Phase 2 armor and by their deployment on Coruscant, where they patrolled the capital's most sensitive districts, including the Senate Building and the Jedi Temple. Unlike frontline infantry, Shock Troopers trained for precision security tasks, crowd control, and rapid response deployments within dense city environments. Their arsenal included heavy blasters, electro batons, and riot shields, adapted to subdue threats in tight quarters. In siege conditions, Shock Troopers could anchor defensive lines within buildings, using fortified positions to repel enemy infiltrations. After the rise of the Empire, Shock troopers became the Emperor's personal guards on Coruscant, enforcing martial law and hunting dissent with ruthless efficiency. Their transformation from Republic protectors to Imperial enforcers demonstrates how the Stormtrooper model evolved from specialized clone policing units into symbols of fear and oppression across the galaxy. Clone assassins were among the most secretive experimental projects of the Republic, bred specifically for stealth and elimination missions against high-value targets. Unlike their heavily armored brothers, assassins wore light armor, or in some cases minimal gear to reduce noise and profile, relying on stealth fields, cloaking technology, and specialized optics to remain unseen. Their weapons included suppressed blasters, vibroblades, and poison darts, tools designed for quiet elimination rather than battlefield dominance. Training emphasized infiltration, silent movement, and precision killing, with doctrine aligning them more closely with covert operatives than with standard soldiers. Clone assassins often deployed in pairs or trios, slipping behind lines to eliminate enemy commanders, communications officers, or artillery spotters whose loss would ripple across the battle. The Republic kept their existence hidden from the public and even from most of the military, using them only in situations where deniability was required. In practice, their creation revealed the Republic's growing willingness to mirror the Sith in its pursuit of total war, commissioning units designed not for defense but for silent, targeted execution.